we few, we happy few. And brothers and sisters. We're gathered together here in the eyes of God.
Wherever two or more are gathered.
Whether 2 or 200.
Don't take that out of context. Om Ajnanatimidandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukhaṁ Karoti Vachalam Bangum Langhayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Panchakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhyaevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo. So tonight we'll begin to look at Krishna's response to Uddhava's question. What was Uddhava's question? Or what were his questions? Anybody remember?
He wanted to go with Krishna.
That's a long time ago. It's weeks and months back. His more immediate question. Remember the other night he was glorifying Krishna. He was showing us how to inquire, how to submit spiritual inquiry. But what was that inquiry? He asked, what kind of person do you accept as a genuine saintly person? And what kind of devotional service do you approve as worthy of being offered to your Lordship? So, does that sound familiar?
Mm-hmm.
How does it sound familiar?
As you said, a few days ago.
Okay, but what's part of our project?
Connection.
Connections. And what are the connections? I can think of 2 connections right off the bat. Well, one with the questions, and then another with the answers.
Mm-hmm.
Arjuna asks Krishna in the Gita.
Arjuna asks Krishna in Bhagavad Gita.
What a sober man needs.
How does he know?
It says, Kailingais trigunane tanatito bhavati prabho kimacharakatam chaitams tringunan ativartate. O Lord, by what symptoms is one who has transcended these 3 gunas recognized? How does he conduct himself? And how does he transcend the 3 gunas? You think Krishna answers it?
Surely he does.
Surely he does. So this is Uddhava's question as well. How do we know who's a devotee? How do we know who's transcendental? Who do you accept as a devotee? And so Krishna is going to answer him over several verses. Sri Bhagavan Uvacha Kripalu Rakrita Dohas Titikshu Sarvadehinam Satyasaro Navadhyatma Samasarvo Pakarakaha Kaimarahatadhir Danto Mridusuchira Kinchanaha Aniho Mitapukshanta Stiro Macharano Munihi Apramatto Gabhiratma Dhutiman Jita Sadgunaha Amani Manada Kalyo Maitrakaru Nikakavi. And then he says, Agyayaivam Gunando Shan Mayadishtam Apisvakan Dharman Santyajaya Sarvan Mam Bhajeta Satu Sattamaha. Supreme Personality of Godhead said it, Uddhava. A saintly person is Kripalu. Any guesses?
Merciful.
Merciful.
Merciful. Akrita drohas. What's a guru druha?
A person who doesn't appreciate or follow the guru.
Yeah,
Krita, something
someone who
like
gives pain to the guru, right? Guru druha. So akrita droha means he doesn't do anything to cause anybody pain. And then titikshu sarvadehinam. He's tolerant and forgiving to everyone, even if they act aggressively. He doesn't respond. He doesn't respond in kind. His purpose in life comes from the truth itself, satyasara. Where'd it go? Anavadhyatma. He's free from envy. We know that one, right? Where do we know that one from? Not that particular Sanskrit word. Dharma pranchita kartavota paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Nirmatsaranam. Free from envy. That's who's capable of appreciating Srimad Bhagavatam. Paramo nirmatsaranam satam. Their lives are dedicated to the truth. Same kind of people. He's free from envy. His mind is equipoised in happiness and distress. He dedicates his time to work for the welfare of others. His intelligence is never bewildered by material desires, and he has learned to control his senses. Now, since it's 2015, we can also, when we hear this so-called kind of universal pronoun, he, we can also read into that she. Used to be, we presumed that when you say he, you meant everybody, you meant all of man, right? Since the beginning of time, man has borne the pangs of childbirth. It's a sentence that we used to use to show how silly that assumption is. His intelligence is never bewildered by material desires, and he's learned to control his senses. His behavior is always pleasing, never harsh, always exemplary, and he is free from possessiveness. He never endeavors like ordinary worldly people, and he strictly controls his eating, and so he always remains peaceful and steady. Strictly controls his eating, mitta, hook, mitta, little bit, hook, bhoga, eating. And so he always remains peaceful and steady. A saintly person is thoughtful and accepts me as his only shelter. Matcharana, right? Matcharana. He accepts me as his exclusive shelter. Sharanagata, right? Because that's one of the core aspects of Sharanagati. He accepts Krishna as his exclusive maintainer and protector. Such a person is very cautious in the execution of his duties and is not disturbed even in a distressing situation. He has conquered over the 6 material qualities: hunger, thirst, lamentation, illusion, old age, and death. He's free from all desire for prestige, and he offers all respect to others. So.
From Shikshastakam.
Remember, we're making connections. we make these little connections, we're also making synaptic connections in our brains. This is brain exercise. It's better than lumosity and much less expensive. The only price is you don't have to pay $20 a month or something. Just give your life. He is expert in reviving the Krishna consciousness of others, and so he never cheats anyone. Rather, he is a well-wishing friend to all, being most merciful. Such a saintly person must be considered the most learned of men. He perfectly understands, now we're on the last verse, and we've gone through these different qualities of the devotee. And in the last verse, Krishna tells Uddhava, such a saintly person must be considered the most learned of all. He perfectly understands the ordinary religious duties prescribed by me in the various Vedic scriptures, and that they possess favorable qualities that purify the performer. And he knows that neglect of such duties constitutes a discrepancy in one's life. Having taken complete shelter at my lotus feet, however, a saintly person ultimately renounces such ordinary religious duties and worships me alone. Sound familiar?
The last verse.
Oh,
Almost the last verse.
Almost the last verse.
well, it's the final instruction, right? Sarvadharman parityaja. Sarvadharman parityaja, completely renouncing sarvadharma. All these kinds of religious duties that we've talked about, over 600 some odd verses, completely giving these things up. Take exclusive shelter of me. He is thus considered to be the best among all living entities. Speaking of connections, do you know of a king in the Yadu dynasty mentioned in the 9th canto of the Bhagavatam who is considered to be the best of the human beings?
Bhakti Maharaj?
His name was Babru. Babru Shrestha Manushyanam Deva Deva Vritasamaha. Babru was considered to be the best of the human beings, and his father Devavrita was considered to be as good as the demigods. Devai Devavrita Samaha. Devavrita was Devai Samaha, just like the demigods. There were songs written about Devavrita and his son Babru. Figured if I could be the best of the servant of the best of the human beings, that would be a good life. So this is what Krishna tells Uddhava here in the 11th canto of the Bhagavatam. Let's see what Krishna tells Arjuna in the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. Sri Bhagavan Vacha Prakasham cha pravitting cha mohameva cha pandava nadveshti sampravirtani na nivrittani kamkshati udasina vadasino gunaryo na vicharavite gunavartanta ityevam yovatishtati nengate samadukha sukhasvasta samaloshtashmakanchana tulya priya priyodhiras tulya nindatma samstuti manapamanayas tulyas tulyo mitra vipakshayoho sarvaramba parityagi gunatita sauchyate. The Lord said, O son of Pandu, one who does not like or dislike the presence or absence of illumination, activity, or delusion. Does that sound familiar? That takes us back a ways, right? He doesn't see that it's good or bad.
Mm-hmm.
And how did Lord Brahma put that? Anybody remember that?
Or like the sun, there's no conception of day or night. He sees everything the same.
Yeah, it doesn't make any more sense than the idea of day or night does to the sun. Because wherever the sun goes, it's de Krishna Samasurya Maya Hoyantakar. Wherever there's Krishna, Krishna is the sun, and Maya is darkness, Antakar, dark making, right? Jahan Tahi Nahan Tahan Nahi Jahan Krishna Maya Dikar. Wherever there's Krishna, there's no Maya, there's no darkness. One who does not like or dislike the presence or absence of elimination activity or delusion, who is seated as though indifferent, undisturbed by the gunas, thinking only the gunas are operative, who thus remains steady, to whom happiness and sorrow are equal, who dwells in the self and to whom a lump of earth, a stone, and gold are all the same, who regards equally the desirable and undesirable, who's steadfast, to whom blame and praise are equal, to whom honor and dishonor are the same, who treats alike friend and foe, and who has renounced all material undertakings. Such a person is said to have transcended the gunas. So if we want to know what a person who is actually transcendental to the three modes of material nature is like, we've got plenty of places where we can get some clues. The 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and here we've got the 11th chapter of the 11th canto in the Bhagavatam. And there are some other places. Now, another connection we can make is to Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, because we know that Lord Chaitanya describes the qualities of a devotee to Sanatana Goswami in the 22nd chapter of Madhya Lila. That chapter is called The Process of Devotional Service. That's the chapter where, among a whole lot of other things, Lord Chaitanya describes the 64 angas of sadhana bhakti to Sanatana Goswami. But before he does that, he's talking about the character of a devotee, and he describes to Sanatana the specific characteristics of the Uttama Bhagavat, the Madhyama Bhagavat, and the Kanishta or Prakrita Bhagavat, right? First, second, and third class devotees. And then he talks a little bit about the devotees in general. He says, Sarva Mahagunagana, Sarva Mahagunagana Vaishnava Sharire, Krishna Bhakti Krishner Guna Sukali Sanchare. A Vaishnava is one who has developed all good transcendental qualities. All the good qualities of Krishna gradually develop in Krishna's devotees. And you know that Krishnadas Kaviraj Goswami often has his speakers citing verses from Shastra to back up what they say, to support what they have, the assertions that they make. So can anybody guess which verse Krishnadas Kaviraj has Lord Chaitanya cite here to Sanatana Goswami? You know this one. You know you want to say it. This is Prahlad Maharaj in the 5th canto of the Bhagavatam. Yasyasti bhaktir bhagavatya kinchana sarvair gunais tatra samasate suraha harava bhaktasya kuto mahaguna manorathenasati dhavato bahi. In one who has unflinching devotional faith in Krishna, all the good qualities of Krishna and the demigods are consistently manifest. However, he who has no devotion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead has no good qualifications, because he's engaged by mental concoction in material existence, which is the external feature of the Lord. Manoratena sati, manoratena, right? He's riding the chariot of the mind, just following his mind. The horses have gone wild, he's dropped the reins. The reins are the intelligence, and the horses are the senses. Just wherever they go. that's what he's stuck with. And of course, these are never fun scenes in the movies, right? And the horses are running wild, and the stagecoach driver and the shotgun guy have been shot and killed, and they've fallen off, rolled down the cliff, and the horses are dragging the stagecoach with all the gold and the pretty ladies and the fancy dandy gambler guy, along these mountain roads, and everybody's gripping the arms of their seats in the movie house. And then he says, Sei Savaguna Hoy Vaishnava Lakshana, Vaishnava Lakshana. Does that sound familiar? Vaishnava?
That sounds familiar.
What is that?
Someone worships Vishnu.
Somebody, a devotee, right? And Lakshana?
Somebody
word.
with 100,000 suns.
Oh, you're in rare form. It's the cinnamon rolls. That's why we're silly today. We're not nitabuk, so our senses and mind aren't under control. Lakshana, characteristics or qualities. Right? We're talking about Swarup Lakshana and Tatastha Lakshana. So many things, especially of devotional service, and these are terms that Guru Maharaj and I use all the time. We talk about these things all the time. The core characteristics and the kind of tangential characteristics, what it is and what it's not, right? So Vaishnava Lakshana, he says, Sei Savaguna Hoy Vaishnava Lakshana, Sabakaha na jai kori digdarshana. Says, all these transcendental qualities are the characteristics of pure Vaishnavas, and they cannot be fully explained, but I shall try to point out some of the important qualities. And then Lord Chaitanya says, Kripalu adkritadroha satyasarsam nidosha vadam yamrusuchi akinchan sarvopakara shanta krishnaika sharan. Krishna says this to Uddhava, but in different words, right? Krishnaika sharan. Exclusively surrendered to Krishna. Krishna eka sharan. Krishna says it differently in the 11th canto. My older daughter, when she was thinking about getting initiated a long time ago, she told me, she said, Gita, if you can, when I get initiated, you can talk to my guru and tell him I prefer not to change my name, Krishna Mai. How do you find a better name than that? She was, when she was in Vrindavan with her friend Jai Radhe, they would go around Braja, and people would, the local devotees, the Brajbasis would ask, oh, what are your names? And Krishna would say, oh, Krishna Mai, oh, really nice. And Jai Radhe, oh, Jai Radhe. Then they went to Barshana. And so they asked her, what are your names? And Jai Radhe said, my name is Jai Radhe. Oh, okay, nice. And Krishna Mai said, my name is Krishna Mai. And the lady's eyes rolled back in her head. Oh, Krishna Mai, Radhe, Radhe. So she said, however, if it were changed, you might suggest either Krishna Prema Mai from Jiva Goswami's Yugalashtakam, Krishna Prema Mai, that first verse, Krishna Prema Mai Radha, Radha Prema Mai, oh, right? Krishna, Radharani, she's made up of love for Krishna. So that's all she is. Or Krishnaika Sharana. Such a nice word. And then he says, Akama Aniha Stira, Akama Aniha, we know that one from the other verses. Vichita Sadguna, Mitabhuk Apramatamana Amani, Gambhira Karuna Maitra, Kovidaksha Mauni. Devotees are always merciful, humble, truthful, equal to all, faultless, magnanimous, mild, and clean. And if you ask any kid who went to Gurukula, they can sing this to you. Even now, even though they might have been in Gurukula 25, 30 years ago. They are without material possessions, and they perform welfare work for everyone. They're peaceful, surrendered to Krishna, and desireless. They're indifferent to material acquisitions and are fixed in devotional service. They completely control the 6 qualities, lust, anger, greed, and so forth. They eat only as much as required, get the hook. And they are not inebriated. They're dhira, sober. Like the way Prabhupada puts it here, they're not inebriated. They're not, their heads aren't turned by anything in the material world. They don't become bewildered. They are respectful, grave, compassionate, and without false prestige. They're friendly, poetic, expert, and silent. And then he cites a verse from the 3rd canto. Titik Shabak, I think this is canto 25th chapter, is Devahuti's boy, Kapila. Titiksha Vakarunika Suhrida Sarvadehina Ajata Shatrava Shanta Sadhava Sadhubhushana. These are the ornaments of the devotee. Tolerance, forbearance, mercy. They're well wishers of every living entity. They follow the scriptural injunctions. And because they have no enemies, Ajata Shatru. Their Shatru is, their enemy is Ajata, not born. And because they have no enemies, they're very peaceful. These are the decorations of the devotees. And then, this is Maharaj Rishabdev. Mahat sevadvaram ahor vimuktes tamodvaram yoshitam sanghi sangam ahantaste samachitta prashanta vimanyava suhrida sadhavoje. It is the verdict of all the Shastras and great personalities that service to a pure devotee is the path of liberation. By contrast, association with materialistic people who are attached to material enjoyment and women is the path of darkness. Those who are actually devotees are broad-minded, what's the word for miserly? Kripana. So another word for broad-minded, Prabhupada sometimes said, or liberal, is Brahmana. Brahmana is broad-minded. A Brahmana is liberal, not narrow-minded. Not a Kripana, not miserly. She's, everybody's the same. Those who are actually devotees are broad-minded, equal to everyone, and very peaceful. They never become angry, and they're friendly to all living entities. Now, why do we want to know what a devotee's like, what a devotee's character is like?
So you know what.
So we know who to associate with and who to serve, right? Mahatseva Dvara Mahor Vimuktes. The doorway to liberation is service to the Mahat, service to the devotees. And then Lord Chaitanya says, Krishna Bhakti Janma Mula Hoi Sadhu Sangha, Krishna Prema Janmi Teho Puna Mukhya Anga. He says the root cause of devotional service is association with advanced devotees. Even when one's dormant love for Krishna awakens, association with devotees is still essential. So this is why it's important to understand what a devotee looks like, what a devotee sounds like, what a devotee feels like. And so that's why Arjuna asks Krishna, how can we tell who's actually transcendental to the three modes? And that's why Uddhava asks Krishna, how can we tell who's actually your devotee? And how do we know what's actually acceptable to you as devotional service? So we'll take a few more minutes and just take a quick look at a couple of these qualities. And we'll take some time to examine them. So the first two kind of work together. They work in tandem, like two sides of a coin. You know, they're not really separable. Kripalu and Akrita Droha. And then also Titikshu Sarvadehina. These things all work together. So Kripalu means merciful. And we've heard, I don't even know how many times over the last few years, that the devotees who, you know, especially the Madhyama Bhaktas who share Krishna consciousness with others, they become deputized, right? They become agents of Krishna's Kripa Shakti. That Kripa Shakti is Srimati Radharani. So Kripa Shakti means his energy of mercy, of kindness. And the ultimate kindness is to give Krishna consciousness. So the characteristic of the devotees is that they are paradukha dukhi kripambudhi, Prabhupada says. Paradukha dukhi kripambudhi. Kripambudhi means, what's kripambudhi? Kripa?
Mercy.
Mercy. Ambuddha? Ocean. Several words for ocean that we hear. Sagara, Ambuddha, Sindhu, and a couple of others that they're not coming to my mind right away. So, Kripambudhi, they're an ocean of mercy, and therefore, paradukha dukhi. Their only suffering is seeing the suffering of others. And of course, what's the ultimate suffering?
Birth and death.
Yeah, birth and death's pretty bad.
Not knowing about Krishna.
Well, not knowing about Krishna. And how is it that we might not know about Krishna? We don't have the association of devotees, right? Lord Chaitanya asked Ramananda Rai, what's the greatest suffering? And Ramananda said, I don't know any suffering greater than losing the association of devotees. So if we don't have the association of devotees, then we don't hear about Krishna. Just like these couple of paragraphs that were apparently, they're the insights of Madhusudana Maharaj of this Krishna Balaram ashram at Sevakunj in Vrindavan. Is covered with the Priyanarma Sakhas, they would come back in the afternoon and they would confront the gopis and they'd say, hey, gopis, what's with the long faces? How come you're sitting around the house crying all day? Don't you know what kinds of adventures we've had today with Krishna and Balaram? And then they would start telling about the killing of Dhenukasura or the killing of some other demons. And he says, Maharaj says, thus they would sprinkle them with the the nectar of Krishna's Leela Katha and make them very happy. This is what, yet machita madgata prana bodhayanta parasparam katayantas chama nityam katayantas chama nityam. They're always talking about me. Katayantas chama nityam. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Guru Maharaj talked about these verses in Poland. The Gita's Chatushloki. Have you heard those classes yet?
Yeah.
Put it on your list, boys and girls. Pretty nice classes. Tushyanti cha ramanti cha. Therefore, they have great satisfaction and ramanti cha. Great pleasure. And this goes even beyond. Srila Sridhar Maharaj pointed out, Tushyanti cha, yeah, ramanti cha, we're talking about enjoying Krishna, really enjoying Krishna. We're talking about Sringararati here. So that's the natural consequence of the association of devotees. We're going to hear about Krishna. Just like the gopis would hear about Krishna from the Priyanarmasakas. They'd come back and it looked like they were taunting them. They'd throw off their turbans and tighten their belts like big heroes and start telling these cool stories, and the gopis just lapping it up. Oh yeah, this is so cool. Been waiting all day for this. And of course, the adults, they're all like, they're rolling their eyes. Oh my God, what today, And but the gopis are just like, oh yeah, they can't get enough. So so that's what we get from the association of devotees, because they are kripambuddhi, because they're an ocean of mercy. So they share that ocean of nectar of Krishna's Lila Katha. And akrita drohas, they don't wish anyone ill. No one. And titiksha sarvadehina, they tolerate everybody, even if they behave aggressively. They won't respond in kind. Rather, they will respond kindly. And either ignore them, depending on how aggressive, either just ignore them or try to give them some Krishna consciousness. Now, if they sense that trying to preach to somebody who's really upset is just going to feed the fire, they'll hold their tongue and find something else to do. I had an experience once. This was in May of '76. I was living on the Big Island. We were visiting Honolulu for maybe 12 days because Srila Prabhupada was visiting Honolulu at the time, so we wanted to hear his classes, get a little of his association. And then afterwards, I was speaking with my godbrother and friend. He was at sannyasi at the time, Siddha Swarupananda Goswami, and he had a few things on his mind that he wanted to discuss with me. One was some of his devotees were starting a political party that they were going to end up using as some kind of preaching vehicle, and he wanted me to move from the Big Island to Maui and help with that effort. But another thing he had on his mind for a couple of days was that Prabhupada had asked him to be the temple president there in Honolulu. Now, if you know anything about Siddha Swarupananda, you know what an astounding request that would be, because he was never given a chance by a great number of ISKCON leaders. He took sannyasa in May of '72 when Srila Prabhupada installed the deities, the Panchatattva, and then Prabhupada asked him in June to go to the mainland on a preaching tour. So sannyasi should travel and preach, not just in the islands. So first place he went was Los Angeles. Srila Prabhupada was there, and he was just given a hard time from the get-go, from the day he showed up in Los Angeles, even while Srila Prabhupada was right there. Yeah. And the person who was the GBC there at the time admitted that he gave Siddha Swarupananda a hard time. So anyway, so this was a few years later, and we're out in the yard of the temple, out by the gate, talking about one of these two things probably. And this fellow who was the temple president for the moment approached and started trying to preach to Siddha Swarupananda about this thing or that thing. And Siddha didn't give him a hard time or anything. He just kind of smiled at him and he said, "Oh my gosh, I just remembered I have to be somewhere." And he went and got in his car and he pulled out and he drove around the block. He drove around the block and pulled back in, and we resumed our conversation after this guy had gone. So the devotee won't respond in kind even when someone is nasty. Not like they have to be like Donald Trump and be nastier, say something nastier than what someone just said about him. It's exactly the opposite. I mean, there's big gap between the demon and the devotee. And so this poor fellow, Mr. Trump, he thinks every time somebody makes a crack about him, he's got to respond and talk about how ugly or stupid or fat and ugly, depending on their gender, they are. So he's going to respond by escalating the bad feelings. But the devotee doesn't. The devotee wants to completely blunt them, and that either means bringing up Krishna consciousness or just sometimes they might just stand and listen, or they might find some way to excuse themselves. So these are some characteristics of the devotee. They're very tolerant. They wish no one ill because they are kripamuni, because they're kripalu. They are very merciful. Okay, so we'll continue with some more Satyasada next time. Anybody have anything to add? Any questions? Any further connections they see?
No, I was just thinking about, what about those devotees who seem like demons?
What about the devotees who seem like demons?
Because they're mean.
Well, if someone's mean, then they may be a devotee, but they still have some flaws. So what about them? In what sense do you mean, what about them? I'll tell you what Krishna says about them. He says, what about them? You know that verse? 30th verse.
Overlook the faults of a devotee.
They're to be considered saintly, even if they do horrible things. What? What's the catch? If they're exclusively devoted to me. If they're real business, if they don't have any business other than becoming Krishna conscious, even if they can't pull it together, even if they become distracted by some things, if that's really the goal of their lives, then they're to be considered saintly because they're actually rightly situated. They're on the right path. And he says in the next verse, in the 31st verse, that they'll very quickly become righteous. Because that's the power of bhakti. So as long as their hearts are open to bhakti devi, even if they're not clean yet, even if there's still some nasty things going on in them, we should consider them as saintly. So sometimes it's a little easier to respect them when there's a little distance. So you might want to not become too intimately associated with them. But you don't need to think bad things about them or say bad things about them at all. Because I think it might be Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. He likes this Purva-Pakshin thing. It's devil's advocate. He says, so why should you consider them saintly? Krishna, he's explaining why. Krishna asks, why should you consider them saintly? Because I say so. I mean, that's ultimately what it boils down to. Because they're dear to Krishna. They're not perfect yet. Everybody's a work in progress. What's the old bumper sticker? God's not finished with me yet. Right? So we respect them. And, we try to see, if there's something we can do to help them in their service, help them improve their service. We will. Otherwise, we just mind our own business.
And what about the devotees who seem so perfect and then they end up being demons? Acting like real bad people.
Well, what about them? What do they have to do with you?
Nothing much.
Nothing much. They probably don't have that much to do with us. If they act like demons, there might be there might be some disruption. But guess what? The devotee's nature is they're not terribly disturbed by these things. There might be a moment when you're kind of reeling and thinking, whoa, where'd that come from? Or, oh man, seemed like he was making some progress. What in the world could account for that U-turn or something like that? And so you care about them. The devotee cares about everybody unconditionally. In the Madhyama Bhakta, the devotees who preach, they have that power of discrimination, right? They're able to discriminate among four kinds of entities. They see the differences between God and devotees, and those who are innocent and those who are averse. So the devotee, God, they adore, they worship God, they make friends with the devotees, they associate as intimately as they can with devotees who are advanced and like-minded and affectionately disposed. And those who are innocent, they try to share whatever understanding they have, they share whatever mercy they might be carrying, that they might have received from their gurus. And those who are actually inimical to God, they don't bother with them. They don't have any time for them. That's not very many people, though. Richard Dawkins, Christopher Hitchens, Daniel Dennett, people like that. I mean, maybe not even Sam Harris. Even Sam Harris sometimes seems to have a soul, although he likes to be famous as a new atheist. But there seem to be some holes in his atheism. So, but the actual demons, they're actually, most people are innocent. They may act like demons because they're associating with demons. And what is it? Vishnu Purana maybe says that, no, Hari Bhakti Sudhodhaya. Hari Bhakti Sudhodhaya says that just as a crystal takes on the characteristics of its environment, it'll reflect and refract the color. You put a crystal in a blue room and it's going to look blue, like a diamond or something, or a clear quartz crystal. And Dr. Russell knows about these things. She's our crystallologist. And if you put it in a red room, it'll look reddish, and if you put it in a green room, it'll look greenish. So in the same way, we take on the characteristics of our environment, of those that we associate with. That's the meaning of tatastha shakti. We're influenced by our environment. So we try to create, or we try to find or create an environment that's imbued with Krishna Bhakti, so that we take on the characteristics of the Krishna Bhaktas. So we want to associate with Krishna Bhaktas, so we need to know what they're like. So hear what Krishna told Arjuna, what Krishna told Uddhava, what Lord Chaitanya told Sanatana Goswami. And we look for those kinds of folks, and we try to get their association however we can. Is that okay? Anything else? Okay, thank you for your patience. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Gaura Bhaktavan ki jai. Pancha Kalpatru Vishnu Pasam More that. Mumble it as inaudibly as you can.